way back in the day when there was no people living in the Americas, my Asian brothers and sisters immigrated into the Americas over 9,000 years ago. Later, my Spanish brothers and sisters came to the Americas and got into everyone's business. Around the same time, my French brothers and sisters came to the Americas. They traded with indigenous Native Americans for 100 years. They traded goods. Later, my English brothers and sisters came to what is now the U.S. and kicked out the French from what is now the U.S. In the early days of the United States, there was no official immigration policy. So my English brothers and sisters immigrated in. European brothers and sisters and called themselves all white. The end thing to do back then was to lose your ethnicity, lose your language, only speak English, and everyone call yourself white. So this new group that called themselves white took my African brothers and sisters and brought them against their will, immigrated them against their will to the United States, the new United States, to do what? Work in the hot sun. When slavery was abolished, many of this new white group had an attitude of, we wanted your labor, but we don't want you. Next, Americans went to war with my Mexican brothers and sisters in the Mexican-American War, and then ended up purchasing North Mexico, which is now Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, everything except the Louisiana Purchase, and Oregon and Washington. When the United States was forming, my Chinese brothers and sisters immigrated to the United States and helped build the railroad, working in the hot sun. Next, my American brothers and sisters decided to make an official immigration policy, and they based it on race. The first policy was called the Asian Exclusion Act. What it said is, we liked your labor, but we don't want you. Next, there was the Bracero program that said Mexicans are allowed to immigrate to the U.S. and work in the hot sun and then go back home. They said, we want your labor, but we don't want you.